as a general manager of Nigerian Television Authority, after which he has served, before then, he has served in various capacities as a reporter, director of news. He has been to NT International in Abuja, and so many other positions that he held before culminating as general manager NTA Ekiti, Ado Ekiti, and finally retired after attaining the mandatory age of 60 years, on which a public servant is expected to take a bow, or 35 years in service, and then give others that are coming behind opportunity to also serve the nation. I welcome Mr. Segun Ojelade.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, yeah. Very good. You are a veteran broadcaster. You've crisscrossed the length and breadth of journalism practice in Nigeria.
Right.
Yeah. And of course, you are also familiar with the Constitution of Nigeria, that Nigeria's federation rests squarely on three tiers of governance. But two are seen to be operating in line with the Constitution, while the third one, which is the local government, is being strangulated in a way, tied to the apron of the state government.
Yes.
But contrary to that, the Supreme Court said, no, that shouldn't be. And we have that has not seen the light of the day up till now. What do you think? What can you make out of all of this, that the state government, that is of them, are not willing to let go of local government?
Well, I see it as one of the maladies of the kind of presidential system or the federal system that we practice. Like you rightly said, it's supposed to be on a tripod where we have the federal at the helm of affairs at the federal level. We have the states, 36 of them, and then the 774 local governments across the country. Each, by the framers of the Constitution, are supposed to be independent of one another. Those states, the local government are supposed to be under the states. Yes, they are under the state. They are, but they are equally supposed to be autonomous entities, having their own accounts, having their own structure, political structure, administrative structure. Even in the public service, they have their own set of staff, who we call local government staff, local government civil public servants and civil servants.
And being overseen by local government service commission. Recruitment,
yes,
discipline, and the like.
Yes, they're supposed to be independent of state. Now, but yes, maybe they have that because they have their own legislature. Maybe they have that because they have their own executive and their own public service, civil service. But you see, the key when you talk of autonomy, is in financing. And that is where the local governments are strangulated, are controlled, are made appendages of states. How is that achieved? It is through what states call joint local government accounts. You wonder where that came from, because it is not part of the Nigerian Constitution. It is not. It is a creation by the various states, joint local government accounts. Now, in the sharing of federal allocations, joint local government accounts in the states does not exist. The money for local government, for each tier of government, goes to them directly. When the federal accounts allocation committee meets every month, money meant for each of the tiers are sent directly to them. But the problem that we now have, state governments will now relay the money and say, okay, no problem. As soon as the money is coming, it doesn't go to each of the local government, like in Ogun State now, it doesn't go to Abeokuta South or Abeokuta North, Obafemi Owode, or even Ijebu. No, it goes into that joint account. And when it lands in the joint account, well, whatever will happen to the money will be at the whim and caprices of the executive governor of that state. And that is where the problem comes in. That is where the local governments local government administration runs into serious problems. But there are so many issues attached to that.
Definitely, yeah, so many issues. Yeah. But let's start to look at it one after the other. Now, just as we have three tiers of government, you also have three arms of government.
Yes.
And the third arm of government here is the judiciary, which has been called in to educate over this matter and give it the necessary interpretation. And that the Supreme Court, which is the highest court of the land, has done by saying local government should be allowed to operate independently, particularly financial autonomy, because that is what is really giving us the issue.
Yes, yes.
Now, this is, to me, total disobedience to the judiciary. And yet, nobody is talking, nobody is saying anything. Judiciary is also working. They are also watching, not saying anything since July 11, 2024, that they have given this verdict. And rather, the governors are just looking for ways to circumvent this verdict, this judgment, so as to suit their own purpose. Now, what can we do at this material time here?
No, first, the judiciary does not implement laws. It doesn't implement its judgments. The work of the judiciary, when a case is brought to them, is to adjudicate on it and make pronouncements. The implementation of such pronouncements is entirely in the hands of the executive. Now, the Supreme Court judgment on autonomy of local governments exposes what many of us Nigerians what we know already as the impunity in our system. And it's a very dangerous trend. When laws or judgments, even judgments of the highest court in the land, we have had cases where judgments of high courts, appeal courts had disobeyed. But this one is a serious one. The highest court in the land made a pronouncement, and states governors are trying to circumvent it, or they have already circumvented it, and it is very, very sad. The latest is Anambra State. The governor was vehement that local government cannot be allowed to operate alone. Well, the governor had this, he made some points, no doubt about it. We'll come to that later. But the truth is that there is a judgment. If any state, if the governors are not comfortable with the judgment, I think there should be a way of they can even go back to the courts to ask it to look at itself again. We have had cases where even the Supreme Court can again look at the judgment and say, and then in view of some new level, wisdom and facts and situations on ground now, it can overturn some of its own decisions.
Okay.
But that takes the Supreme Court itself. But for an entity, or for an individual, or for a corporate organization or government to overturn a judgment of the Supreme Court, it portends very serious danger. It means that Nigerian governments or governors, they choose the law to obey. And we have seen that in many instances in this country, and I don't think it is good.
Okay, but the question then is, why are the governors afraid of allowing to let loose, to let local government also stand on their own? You also recall that when after this judgment in July, they did approach the federal government, in particular President Bola Tinubu, that he should give them moratorium of about 3 months.
3 months.
That they want to put certain things in place, and we have seen a couple of states now conducting local government elections and the likes of that. But the question then is, why are they afraid of this? If the state government challenging federal government that you cannot deduct my money anyhow, you can't tamper with my allocation, every kobo that goes into the federal allocation should be shared among the 3 tiers of government. So why are they afraid?
It's all in the interest of politics. You see, a governor, let's start like that, although there are so many reasons, but let me just start with that. Okay. When somebody is a governor, okay, so let's just take the Rivers example for instance. Okay. Rivers, typical example. Wike was, sorry we're mentioning his name, was governor for 8 years. He has, we say he's on ground. He's on ground because all the political actors at the grassroots, even to the ward level, were elected or appointed or chosen by him. All the local government chairmen in the states are chosen by him to be there. Councillors, ward executives of the party. Politics is grassroots. Whoever controls the grassroots controls the entire state. So that one is key. Let us agree on that. Okay. So if a governor sits anywhere in the capital and does not have his foot soldiers at the local level, even to the very ward level and community level, he is a paper champion.
But whereas you should then sit on their regular monthly allocation.
There is something with power. Power. When you talk about power, somebody is already a governor. Yes, he has the political power. And we call our governors, we call them emperors. Many of them are the be-all and end-all once they get to that seat. But the other thing, especially in our climate here in Nigeria, is money. Whoever controls the purse, unfortunately, controls the people. So you cannot allow your enemy, for instance, to be in charge of the money at any level. Okay, for instance, now that is why local state governors would like to win all the councillorship seats, all the chairmanship seats. Because eventually they are the ones that will be in charge of disbursing the money that will be released to them. And you don't want to begin to give money to the opposition party. which you know necessarily will be used against your government or feed your enemies. So you have to ensure that whoever the money is going to get to will have to listen to you both in where the money goes, what project it is used for, and which sector gets the money, even at the grassroots.
Even if you say every politics is local politics,
Yes.
it's localized. And
Yes.
we have all equally seen in the past that local government was so effective, so pragmatic that a lot of them, I could recall in Abeokuta here that at Kuto Market, the popular Kuto Market, you see local government coming up to come and sell crates of eggs, to come and sell palm oil and the likes of that. So they were working and running very well. But unfortunately, since this started, local government has went into comatose. We can't see their effectiveness any longer. There's hardly anything they do at local government level now, and yet we are saying they are the closest to the grassroots. But those in the grassroots are not enjoying them.
Yes.
Yeah. You want to react to that?
Anyway, it affects every facet of life in Nigeria. Talking about impact of government. Yes, there are more allocations, but the government continues to be far from the people. You just mentioned it. In those days, local governments are into agricultural produce. They have farms, they have poultry businesses, and they have things, they run an economy at the local level. They construct rural roads, just grade them and then make them motorable for people at the grassroots. But these days it is true, you don't get to see them. And don't let us castigate our own around here. It's everywhere. I have had the opportunity by virtue of the work I do to travel and live across the country. And I know that it's the same everywhere. It is the same. It's unfortunate, but they get more allocations. More money is coming in from at the federal level. Although many of them, they depend solely on the allocation, and they are doing very badly with internally generated revenue.
Because this has been overtaken by the state government.
So many things are just wrong with our system. It's true. We talk about IGR. In those days, local government collects money in markets.
Yeah.
But these days now, you see government official, FI, they call them internally state revenue service. You find them even in the markets. You find them at motor parks. You find the motor park staff, drivers, owners, they are now contributing to states. Who feeds the local government? But even the money that goes to the local government, what is being done with it? The other day I was seeing a local government in Lagos commissioning
Awesome projects.
Although we understand their role. Market in Lagos, if you collect IGR for 3 months in Lagos, you can build such structures.
Well, that is semblance of the fact that local government is being allowed to operate independently.
Yes.
And that's why they could come up with such.
See, one major problem of the local government that I personally see is in recruitment. Is in recruitment of those that get elected into local government offices. How many credible people? I remember in those days, the kind of people that have run our local government. I remember Bisrod.
Yeah.
In Ijebu. Yes, Bisrod. I remember he was an exemplary entrepreneur, and has a very flourishing furniture company in those days. He was doing very fine. So you don't expect such people to get to local government administration as chairman and then begin to misbehave or not have ideas as to the way to go. I don't know the situation now, but I know that local government tickets are used to rehabilitate and to give to people that they are loyal to the chief executive of the state, and people that necessarily their pedigree probably questionable, and we are not looking at ensuring that we put intelligent, knowledgeable people that can even stand up to argue with the chief executive of the place. No, you find people that are yes men. We have that in recent times around here, in some states around here, people that yes sir, and then coming to prostrate. They are supposed to be independent, but when you do not have the purse, the power of the purse, it's very difficult for you. Now, who decides? I remember I had a friend who was a local government chairman, and then he told me that he came to one ceremony I had, and I said that he's sorry, he knows what he should do, but that they have not paid them in a very long while. They don't get allocation, and then the projects that they do are decided from the capital of their states, and so it is what the government wants, the project wants them to do is what they do, and so the releases come straight from the government to whoever is the contractor. So I now wonder, I say, okay, what are you now still doing there?
Just collecting your salary.
What are you doing there? They call you chairman. So even you cannot even grade a road. So if the people come to you now that there is a problem of flood, or there is erosion in one area, you cannot even say, okay, where are the works departments in the local government? So, but that's why the framers of the Constitution says that we should have 3 tiers of government. The man at the federal level, as the president or ministers, he cannot see what is happening in Odo here. Even the governor, it will be very rare for him to be going to Odo almost every week. But if the people there, the local government functionaries, they are the ones that know the problems of their communities, and they can intervene very quickly and easily.
All right. From the constitution that you just mentioned again, the same constitution is riddled with a lot of lacunas, because that same constitution also empowers the State House of Assembly to also carry out oversight function on local government. So they look at their financial records, they look at their books, and also come up with laws that should also govern local government in their respective states. So is that not what the governors are leveraging on, that since they are within my jurisdiction and my House of Assembly can also superintend over them, then we should have total control of local government?
Well, I don't know if I too not say that local government cannot be completely free. Based on our past experiences, and as mentioned by the governor of Anambra State, Chukwuma Soludo. Now, let's concede one thing to Soludo. He's a brilliant mind. Soludo is a fantastic technocrat, and one-time governor of the central bank. I don't think he's one that would do mischief with this issue of local government. But you see, in time past, many years ago, when the responsibility of paying teacher salary rests on local governments. You imagine, you remember what happened. They owe teachers salary. The health sector was in total shambles, you know. So the primary education was badly run. So I don't believe that total autonomy should be given to local governments. They must have a structure that watches what they do, that monitors what they do.
As to confirm your remarks, most unions in the local government, local government level has also said, don't give our money.
The NUT is quite vehement about not advising federal government not to hand payment of teachers' salary and running of education at that level to local government. It is based on experience, past experiences should instruct us not to go that route again. You know, and again, it boils down to recruitment in that sector. I mean, in that sector of our polity. Okay, maybe it is human beings that are running the state or are running at the federal level. Government workers' salaries are being paid.
Sure.
The systems at these two tiers of government are running. So why, if we have people that are virile, people that are knowledgeable, people that know their onions at the local government, why wouldn't they do what they are supposed to do? But until we are able to get to that level, and again, if there is no competitive election into local government offices, we are not likely to get to that level of efficiency at the local government level. So if we continue to have what do we call this? If we continue to have a coronation at the local government level rather than an election, of course we continue to have situations like this when you cannot, somebody that got there does not owe anybody in that local government is election. Only a select few or people at the capital, they are the one is answerable to. But if he goes through a very rigorous system to get there based on the collective desires of the people at that level, it's not always nice.
Okay, where will you then align your thoughts as to a cross-section of Nigerians saying INEC should be given that responsibility of conducting local government elections in Nigeria? Perhaps, peradventure, we will see the narrative might change in a way. People will they will have that confidence to come out and say, I want to contest, and can be rest assured that the election will be transparent, will be credible enough, fair, and so.
Well, it's a school of thought, and then we've participated in the argument before that, okay, since we have tried with various UCSEC, ICSEC at the state level, and where we get is a coronation like this, okay, maybe INEC should begin to conduct the elections for them. But do you want to kill INEC?
So, but it will be at every general election. You know, local government spend 3 years in office, so that means a year after conducting general election, they go into local government elections.
See, I don't see. I just ask that question. Is INEC not already overburdened? That's number one. Number two is, what is even happening to the elections being conducted by INEC itself? What? Almost all of them end in litigation, serious crisis here and there. See, they are still human beings. It is still human beings that will conduct the election. They are still Nigerians with the Nigerian factor, with the Nigerian situation. If you go, those that are in INEC, they are not angels, and they are not coming from the moon neither are they coming from another clime. They are with us here. And if what is happening in Nigeria, who tells you that it can still not happen even when INEC takes over the election? So we should just we should always be born again like the Christians we say. If we continue the way we are going, even if you go and bring people from Ghana to come and conduct, that's exactly the same thing you are going to get. We have to decide on our own as a people that we will do the right thing.
Okay, I mean, deduce from what we've been saying in the last 30 minutes or thereabout, you are not totally aligned to the fact that local government should operate independently, but rather what you are looking at is that it should be a gradual thing, maybe in phases. Once you take their political structure, let them have that independence there, that one goes. For their financial autonomy, you have not totally aligned with that, because you said they might not be able to. It's
not that I do not want them to have autonomy. See, there is no way that an institution can still be subservient to another institution, and then you'll be able to rate its effectiveness or efficiency. No. So, but what I'm saying is that the autonomy must be one gradual, and it must be in phases. And there are some areas for now, until we have a very good recruitment process that cannot be handed over to those at the helm of affairs at this material time. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Now, especially payment of teacher salaries, and then some very critical assignments that are given to them. Now, and then again, the state cannot completely hands off. There has to be a kind of checks and balances of what is going on, because there is so much rot at that level.
So what would that be the constitutional responsibility or role of the legislature at the local government level? They also have their own legislature wherein they elect a clerk, a speaker, they have councillors, all of that. So what would they be doing?
Well, our democracy is not a perfect one. Our presidential system is not a perfect one for now. Okay. Until we have a new constitution that will take a look at all these anomalies and all these contraption in the 1999 constitution as amended. There is a lot that still needs to be done. The constitution will still need to be reworked for us to have a true a constitution which we all can call our own, and a constitution that is workable. The present arrangement, because we have operated it for how many years now, we have been able to detect some areas where things are not working the way it should. So in that wise, we cannot say that the efficiency, this efficiency or the smoothness that we are not having at the federal level, we are not getting at the state level. We now want to say it must work at the local government. Only amukun the problem permeates the entire three tiers of government. So there is no way we can single out the local government and then expect them to be perfect, because our system is not just perfect.
But the state governments are also struggling that they want to detach themselves away completely from the control of federal government. That's why some of them will tell you the mineral resources in my state should be controlled by me. And they have forgotten that these mineral resources that you are talking about are also domiciled in a particular local government. So that means you will also allow local government to control such. But before you talk about that, closely related to that question is, I want us to open our eyes to another area. When they go for FAC meeting every month, you only have federal and states being represented. Local governments are not represented. And I don't know why that is so. And when they are sharing the money, they will tell you they are sharing the money into 3 parts. Whereas the local government representatives of all the 774 are not there to also talk about the sharing formula, to also talk about the money being shared. Is that why the states have taken or assumed full control of local governments?
Well, you cannot say that. I don't think any system should run like that, where you will have federal officials seated, and then you have commissioners of finance from the 36 states, and then you have additional 774 representatives of local government. Or you want to say, okay, local government just send discuss among yourself and select 1 or 2 people to come and sit down.
Perhaps look at the 6 geopolitical zones
and bring
representative from each of these zones to come for the meeting.
Well, I don't think that is necessary too. I do not think so, because it's no longer something that is shady. You know, we know the amount that we have made in a particular month, and then we know the sharing formula, which the federal government is trying to jettison now to develop a new one, and we know, and then we know how we normally share it, population, geographical, clinical, all those indices, you know. But I don't think every one of us has to sit in fact.
Okay, but does the federal government still need an implementation committee? Because after the judgment by the Supreme Court, federal government then set up an implementation committee that they need to also monitor how the state complied with the judgment and how the local government is equally running. And perhaps that is why some of them, 16 of them now, have gone to court to challenge the constitutionality of EFCC, because they know that EFCC will also want to come into those local government areas to know how your monthly calculation is being used, what did you use them for, and the likes of that. Is that why would federal government set up a committee of implementation?
You see, if we have an efficient system, there is no need, all these structures and committees and task forces are not necessary. If it is a country where laws are obeyed, once the Supreme Court in the land makes a pronouncement, it becomes law, and everybody is supposed to fall in line. Everybody is supposed to fall in line, but it is just unfortunate. How does the federal government, how do they want to coerce the states, the governors in the various states to implement the Supreme Court judgment? You can set up 1 million implementation task forces. You know, the governors will still tell you, I'm the chief executive of my state, the #1 security man in the land, and he has the constitution that backs him up. And the federal government will say, okay, since we give you the money, we have the right to monitor, just like they're saying with EFCC. EFCC, when the EFCC was being established, since it is the money that belongs to everybody that EFCC is trying to monitor. So we should have been invited, just to have made our own comment too before the law establishing EFCC and ICPC are passed. That because we were not carried along, so it does not cover us. So the law is illegal because the process for its enactment was not foolproof. That's why they went to court. That's why they are in court now. But you see, there is a federal law establishing the EFCC to monitor money that comes from federal allocation. And how we run our system. It's a federal law, it's not a state law. You yourself, you can set up your own monitoring team, but the federal government reserves the right to have an agency like this. Although they are not questioning EFCC per se, it is just the process of enactment of the EFCC Act that they are against, and they are tackling it from there. Well, eventually, it is the EFCC.
Okay, so can you categorically say or stick out your neck that this judgment by Supreme Court will eventually see the light of the day, and we'll see a local government that is vibrant, that will be back on track of those yesteryears where they were effective at the grassroots, making governance to percolate to everyone. Like Riley pointed out, there are 236 wards in Ogun State, for instance. The government might know all of them, but you can't know the details of what these 236 wards, because it cannot just be a community that makes up a ward. There will be several communities, and those several communities will require one essential need or the other from others. They will differ, and so how do you meet their needs? How do you make sure you check rural-urban drift so that they will not come to the urban center and then populate the urban center, and the facility you have provided at the urban center will be overstretched so much that it won't be enough again, and it may result in decaying and the likes of that. So do you see it? Do you see a light at the end of the tunnel that local government will eventually have their own?
I'm sorry to say, it's very unlikely. Very, very unlikely. Because of our constitution that has given enormous powers to the federal and the states. Governors are very, very powerful in our system now. When they say the governors forum, when you have the governors forum, you have another estate entirely. The governors forum, they are is a de facto entity on its own. Don't let me call them, but they are. So once we have that, there's a constitution amendment, local government autonomy, for instance. You send all the representatives there. Once the local government forum or the governor of each state tells its House of Reps members and senators that this is our stand in our state, go there and argue it out. Once the governor's forum decide on that, you can have 1 million senators. You can have more than 360 House of Reps members. It is those 36 that will decide what goes on there.
You don't think this is
That's a very bad system.
And you don't think it's high time for the federal government too, the presidency, to also challenge the creation of governors forum, because this is not backed up by constitution.
That's another ball game entirely. That's another one entirely. Once we are able to have sanity in our polity, some of the problems that we are having politically now, I'm not talking economical, politically, will be resolved. That governors forum, well, you can have senators, you can have House of Reps members. It is what the 36, when they sit down in their room, where they decide, that's what you get at the end of the day. Now, but again, it boils down to our recruitment. Leadership recruitment. And when you talk about leadership recruitment, it goes from up to bottom. So it's not that's why I said you cannot say okay the local government system should run perfectly and efficiently according to the which constitution? What kind of effectiveness are we having at the federal level, at the state level, that you expect to get from the local government level?
Will the federal government be running foul of the constitution or the Supreme Court judgment if a state that does not in any way or is not ready to allow local government to operate independently then withhold such allocation? Which all happened under former President Obasanjo when Lagos State, the now president, when he was governor of Lagos State, created SCDs, and the president said, no, you do not have the power to do such. Wherein, in the constitution, states have the power, but what they need to do is they must do it in concurrent with the National Assembly. And once the National Assembly, once they have the two-thirds from there, it becomes a local government, substantive local government. So the allocation was stopped for a while.
There is no way. Okay, the Constitution, once the Constitution allows states to superintend over local government administration in their respective states, they can decide to create through an act of their National Assembly, state assemblies, create LCDAs like you have. They can have that, they can have 50, they can have hundreds in their states. No problem with that. But it is in the allocation that they have problem. Because the Constitution expressly states it that it is 774 that we get allocation from the federal allocation system. So when the money now, that's why they created state and joint, one of the reasons why you have the joint and local state and local government account. So that when the money is coming in, money for all the local, it lands in that joint account. And they will now share it in such a way that the LCDA too will benefit. So for instance, in Abeokuta, now let's say we have LCDA, we have 10 again. So when the money for Abeokuta South is to be shared, the 10 LCDAs will be taken into account when the money is being shared. Well, but you cannot increase the allocation that comes to local government in the state on account of creation of LCDAs.
But what I mean, the LCDAs have passed through all the constitutional provisions and they've gotten the nod of the National Assembly?
No, nothing concerns the National Assembly in their creation.
Okay.
Nothing. It is basically a state creation.
So if they have fulfilled all the constitutional provisions, so why will it be
the 1999 Constitution will have to be changed? The number of local governments that will benefit from federal allocation is 774.
Sure.
So that number must change before the LCDA gets anything from the federal allocation.
No, but that they will have become local governments. It won't be LCDA any longer.
No, they can't call them, they cannot even call them local governments.
Okay.
They cannot. They will be illegal. The number, that's why they call them LCDA.
I'm saying that if they have been able to scale the hurdles of the Constitution and they have been able to achieve that, so they become local government.
No, there is no way they can pass the hurdles of becoming local government until they get to, there is a constitutional amendment at the national level. The House of Representatives and the Senate must amend the 1999 Constitution to increase, to accommodate more local governments. There's no way. And for that to be done, to create local government is not going to be easy under this system to change, because it's just like you want to now create more states. I don't even think that states can be created so easily under this system.
The autonomy of local government being craved for is far from being achieved as we are.
No, I don't see it being achieved. I do not see it being achieved. Why? Because it will be a Herculean task, a task that is near impossible to want to remove the governor's stronghold on local government administration.
But that by extension means you are ridiculing the judiciary. If the highest court in
It's
the land has
unfortunate.
ruled
It's unfortunate.
that they should be.
It's unfortunate.
Well, it's on that note that we are going to wrap up the program this week, Democratic Power. We're taking a look at the long-awaited local government autonomy. On July this year, the Supreme Court ruled that they should be allowed to operate independently. But the governors, 36 of them, have been going around seeking ways to circumvent that verdict and ensure that did not or does not see the light of the day. And that's how we wrap up the show on the program. I must thank my guest, Mr. Segun Ojela, the veteran broadcaster who has shared his thoughts with us. And I want to believe you've enjoyed every bit of it. So thank you so much for
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
All right. The program returns next Thursday from 2:30 in the afternoon. That is where we discuss about democratic experience in Nigeria. What can we do to further make it, put it on a good sound track and make it seamless so that you and I, because democracy is about government of the people, for the people, and by the people, so all of us can enjoy democracy. I remain Tunde Shoteke. I'll see you next week. God willing, keep flourishing in the peace of the Most High. Bye for now.